Welcome to How to Lose the Weight, the podcast for women ready to stop waiting for someday and live life now. I'm your host, Holly Toscanini, and I'm here to help you break free from perfectionism, self-doubt, and the someday mindset. Together, we'll dive into real conversations about self-trust, empowerment, and living authentically. If you're ready to reconnect with your intuition and step into your power, you're in the right place. Let's lose the weight and start living fully right now. Hello, friends. Welcome back to How to Lose the Weight. I'm your host, Holly Toscanini. We're standing right on the edge of a brand new year, which means your feeds are probably full of things like New Year, New You, or Glow Up in 30 days, or Crush your 2026 goals. And if you're anything like the women I work with, a lot of that doesn't feel inspiring. It feels like more pressure, more ways to measure yourself, more opportunities to fill behind. So today, we're doing something a little different. This is not going to be a goal-setting boot camp. This is not about creating a whole new you. This episode is about claiming 2026 as your year of self-trust and full expression, not a new you, a truer you. We're going to gently look back on 2025 and name what really mattered. We're going to talk about the three big themes that we've circled all year on this podcast: trust, courage, and self-permission. And I'm going to guide you through a simple reflection ritual you can actually do while you listen, or you could do it later with a notebook, so you can start 2026 with more clarity, compassion, and a lot less "I'll start someday." And at the end, I'll invite you to take the 5-minute midlife confidence quiz so you can see where you are on your reinvention path and get a personalized confidence plan for the year ahead. So if you're feeling tired, a little wrung out, and also quietly hopeful, I'm glad you're here. Take a breath, because this one's for you. Let's tell the truth about this year, shall we? Year-end reflection can feel loaded. On paper, it's supposed to be this meaningful, cozy process. You light a candle. You write your highlights, your goals, your resolutions, and declare your intentions. But in reality, for many midlife women, it feels more like an annual performance review where you're both the employee and the boss. Sit down to reflect and hear thoughts like, I didn't do enough, or I should be further along, or why am I still struggling with the same things? Everyone else seems to be thriving. What's wrong with me? So before we do anything else, I want to set a little ground rule for this episode. This is not a review of your performance. It's an honoring of your humanity. You don't have to justify how you spent this year. You don't have to earn the right to start over again. You've already lived through 365 days of being a human in a very complicated world, maybe even in a changing body with a nervous system that's been doing everything it can just to keep you upright. If you hear nothing else today, please hear this. You made it here, and that counts. Now, this year, we may have held grief that you didn't see coming, transitions you didn't plan, maybe health stuff you didn't ask for, or shifts in relationships and careers. And at the same time, it probably also held moments of quiet joy, glimmers of real connection, and tiny wins that nobody else saw. Times you were braver than you realized in the moment. Today is about holding all of that. So we're not going to pretend it was all terrible or all amazing. We're going to tell the truth and then decide how you want to step into 2026. Let's zoom out and take a look at the themes we've been talking about all year on this podcast, especially in the last quarter. Whether we're talking about emotional decluttering, or body wisdom and listening to your cravings and signs of fatigue, or gratitude without guilt, or stopping the fix-yourself mindset, or maybe tiny pivots and getting unstuck. Underneath all of it were three big themes: trust, courage, and self-permission. Now, I want to walk you through each of these not as concepts, but as living, breathing parts of your day-to-day life. Let's start with trust. Not blind trust in everything and everyone, self-trust. The kind that sounds like, I can listen to my body and take it seriously. I can trust my intuition, even when I can't fully explain it. Or I can trust myself to handle whatever feelings come up. This year, you may have heard your intuition say no to something that looked good on paper, or felt your body say enough in a way that forced you to slow down. Or maybe you noticed that overriding yourself comes with a cost you're just not willing to keep paying. Self trust is not a switch you flip, it's a relationship you build. Next is courage. Not the movie version kind of courage where you're fearless and glowing and certain. Courage in midlife usually looks more like, I'm terrified and I'm still going to send that email. Or my voice is shaking, but I'm going to say what's true for me. Or I don't know exactly how this is all going to work out, but I know I can't stay where I am. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision that staying stuck costs more than taking one small, honest step forward. Self permission. This might be the quietest and most radical theme of all. Self permission sounds like I'm allowed to want what I actually want. I'm allowed to change my mind. I'm allowed to disappoint people who preferred the version of me that used to abandon herself. You may have experimented with this in some tiny ways too, like leaving a party or a gathering where you were just done, or saying no without a long apology or explanation, or letting yourself rest even though that to do list was still there, or admitting to yourself that something you've been tolerating is just no longer okay. Trust, courage, and self permission aren't separate skills, they feed each other. When you trust yourself, courage seems more possible. When you act with courage, self permission grows. And when you give yourself permission, trust deepens. So, as we move into this next reflection ritual, I want you to keep those words close: trust, courage, and permission. They're going to shape how you remember this year and how you enter the next one. All right, so let's begin with our reflection ritual. It's in 3 parts. Part 1, looking back with kindness. If you can, grab a notebook and a pen. So if you're driving or walking, you can do this in your head and maybe come back to this section in the episode later. We're going to start by looking back in a way that's grounded and kind, not punishing. So take a deep breath. Maybe let your shoulders drop down a little bit and relax. I'm going to offer a few prompts, and you don't need perfect answers, just honest ones, okay? Number 1, where was I braver than I gave myself credit for? Think about this year. Did you have a hard conversation? Did you ask for help when you normally would have just tried to handle everything on your own? Maybe you set a boundary, however small. Or did you make a change in your health, your work, your relationships, even if nobody else saw the whole story? Write down 2 to 3 moments, big or small, where you were braver than you realized at the time. You might write something like, I said no to that commitment that felt really wrong in my body. I finally admitted this job is draining me. I talked honestly with my doctor. Let your mind wander over the year and catch those moments. Number 2, what did I carry that nobody else really saw? Now, this is about emotional labor, invisible work, and quiet resilience. So ask yourself, what was I holding on to this year that most people had no idea about? It could be worrying about your child or a parent. Maybe it's a grief that you didn't have the space to fully process in the moment, or work stress you just couldn't discuss. Maybe for some of us, it was health issues we were navigating quietly. Write it down and name it. This is not to wallow in it, it's to witness yourself. You deserved support in all of that, even if you didn't always get it. Number 3, what am I proud of that doesn't show up on my highlight reel? We tend to define accomplishments as things we can post about, right? I want you to think about the inner victories, like I didn't abandon myself in that situation, or I spoke up one more time than I normally would have, or I let myself rest without guilt at least once. I choose a kinder story about my body. Write down a few things that you're not quietly proud of that maybe nobody else knows, and let yourself feel that pride for just a moment. It's allowed. Part 2 of the reflection ritual: what you're not bringing in to 2026. So now we're going to gently release what you don't want to keep carrying with you. You don't have to figure out how to completely change it today, so don't worry. You're just acknowledging this doesn't come with me into the new year. On a fresh page, right at the top, I am no longer available for, and then just let it flow. You might write, I'm no longer available for saying yes when my whole body is saying no. I'm no longer available for treating my body like a problem that needs to be fixed. I'm no longer available for relationships where I have to shrink to be acceptable. I'm no longer available for dismissing my intuition as irrational. I'm no longer available for waiting until everything is perfect before I start. You're not promising perfection here. You're drawing a line in the sand for yourself. If it helps, maybe circle or underline the ones that make you, I don't know, make your chest tighten or your eyes sting a little. Those are the ones that really matter. Now, if you're someone who likes a small physical ritual, you can later fold this page up and tuck it somewhere meaningful where you can see it again. Or maybe just tear it up and throw it away as a signal to your nervous system that we're allowed to do things differently now. Reflection Ritual Part 3, claiming 2026 as your year of unwaiting. So now we turn toward 2026, not with pressure, with possibility. I want you to think of 2026 as your unwaiting year, not because you're going to become an entirely different woman, but because you're going to start living more and more as the woman you actually are. We're going to anchor that with three things: a word or phrase for the year, a feeling you want to build more of, and one tiny pivot you're willing to take in January. Remember, tiny. A word or phrase for 2026. Ask yourself, if 2026 is a chapter in the story of my life, what would I want that title to be? Maybe it's self-trust, enoughness, full expression, courage, permission, softening, a reclaiming, or a short phrase like no more Sunday, or trust over perfection, or quiet boldness, or fully me. Write down whatever comes up for you, and don't overthink it. This isn't branding, it's just an anchor, remember. Next, a feeling you want more of, not a checklist, a feeling. So ask yourself, how do I want to feel more of often in my daily life next year? You might write, I want to feel more grounded, more free, more valued, more peaceful, more excited. Then ask, what kinds of choices move me toward that feeling, even in some tiny ways? For example, if you want to feel grounded, maybe your tiny pivot is a 5-minute check-in in the morning instead of just immediately grabbing your phone. If you want to feel free, maybe your tiny pivot is saying no to one obligation you're kind of dreading. And if you want to feel more at home in your body, maybe your tiny pivot is noticing one sensation a day without judging it. Next, one tiny pivot for January. Bring it all together and ask, based on everything I've reflected on, what's one tiny pivot I'm willing to make in January? Make it small and specific, maybe slightly uncomfortable, but not overwhelming. You might write, I'll have one more honest conversation I've been avoiding. I'll block out 1 hour a week for something that is just for me. Or I'll practice saying, let me get back to you, instead of automatic yeses. Or maybe I will schedule a call with a coach, a therapist, or my support person. Maybe I'll walk outside 3 times a week for 10 minutes. That's it. One pivot. You don't need a 12-point plan. You need one decision that honors the woman you're becoming. Now, I want to talk about the 5-minute confidence quiz, because as we wrap up this episode and this year, I want you to hear me. You're allowed to claim 2026 as your year of unwaiting. You don't have to wait for the perfect time. You don't have to wait until you feel less scared. You don't have to wait until your body, your bank account, or your relationship status meets some imaginary standard. Deciding to stop waiting and start living is not about throwing out your old life in the trash. It's about building a life that fits the woman you are now and the one you're becoming. And that starts with trusting yourself even a little bit more, or choosing courage in small, doable ways, or giving yourself permission to exist as you are, not as some upgraded, polished version of you who never struggles. And if you're listening to this and thinking, I want this to be my year, but I don't know where I am or how to get started, I've created something that can really help. It's my 5-minute midlife confidence quiz. Now, it's a short, powerful quiz that helps you see where you are right now on your self-trust and reinvention journey. So you're not just vaguely motivated, you actually have a starting point. Now, when you take the quiz, you're going to discover which phase you're in, and there are 5. You could be the awakening woman. You're just beginning to realize how much of your life has been shaped by everybody else's expectations. Or the inner critic warrior. You know that harsh inner voice very well, and you're ready to let it stop running the show. Or you could be the intuitive seeker. You feel your intuition nudging you, and you're learning how to listen and act on it. Or you're the embodied confidence woman. You are done making your body the enemy, and you're ready to start making it your ally. Or finally, maybe you're the reinvention ready woman. You can feel your next chapter calling and you're ready for guidance and support to step into that. Each result is going to come with a personalized confidence plan based on your type so you can move into 2026 with all the clarity you need and what your first few steps might be. You can take the quiz on my website, hollytoscanini.com. I'll also put a link in the show notes, and if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the description below. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend who's also standing on the edge of a new year, wondering if it's too late to reinvent herself. Take a picture of your word or phrase for 2026 and tag me. I love seeing what you're reclaiming for yourself. And if you take the quiz, send me a message and let me know which phase you're in. I genuinely care, and I love hearing where you are in your story. Thank you for spending this year with me, for listening, reflecting, trying, circling back, and then trying again. Thank you for every quiet act of courage that you took that nobody else saw. And thank you for being willing to imagine a bigger, truer life for yourself. Remember, you're not behind and you're not too late. You're right on time for your own reinvention. Until next year, trust yourself. Honor your next small step. And remember, there's nothing left to wait for. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to How to Lose the Weight. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you found value in this episode, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It really helps the show reach more women like you who are ready to step into their power. For more insights and inspiration, follow me on Instagram at Holly Toscanini or visit hollytoscanini.com. Until next time, remember, stop waiting and start living.